If I had to, like the actual beginning, whether I realized it at that moment or not, I don't feel like I did, was I was depressed and I had a lot of unresolved trauma. I was getting emotional and I had all these dark thoughts and they were just overwhelming me. And I was literally like at the end of my rope. I really don't think I'm supposed to be living life this way, where I called it my dark place, where I'm lost in this dark place. I was like, I don't want to be put on any medications. I want to learn how to deal with my own shit. I really want to figure this out, and I don't want to be depressed and all this. I was like, tell me what to do, and I will do it. And that was actually where I learned meditation as a means of healing my anxiety and PTSD and depression and all. There's something bigger out there, and I'm experiencing it for myself.
Hey everyone, it's Joey from the Reality Practice Network. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned after the show and find out how you can work one-on-one with your show host as they guide you through this process of ascension. Until then, enjoy the show. The power you seek lies within you, as we are each infinite beings living a human experience. The truth of who and what we are has been hidden from us until now. Awaken, my friends, to this new reality that we are in fact creating everything through the power and the gift of our wonderful imagination. Join me as I unlock the secrets of our past and reveal the truth that has been clouded in this veil we call life. What reality will you choose to create today? The choice is yours. Welcome, my friends, to My Reality Practice. Hello and welcome, everybody. Thanks for tuning in today on the Reality Practice Podcast. I'm your host, Joey Kramer, and today's guest is Joy Fanning. Joy is the creator of the YouTube channel Astronaut of Life, a meditation channel dedicated to helping spiritual seekers go inward to explore. Her meditation journey began in 2016 as a means to help her cope with anxiety and PTSD. Over time, this simple practice became the cornerstone of her awakening experience. In 2021, she became a certified meditation teacher and began making her own meditations for others to use. Meditation was crucial to unlocking her spiritual gifts, connecting with her guides, and learning to astral travel. It is now part of Joy's mission to share her love for meditation and the knowledge of how to use this practice to unlock the cosmos within all spiritual seekers. So without further delay, let's welcome Joy to the show. Thank you so much for coming on today. Welcome.
Yay, welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
We are super excited to have you on the show. I can't wait to introduce you to my audience and really take a deep dive into the importance of meditation, like, what it is, how people do it. I hear so often like, oh, I can't meditate. I don't know how to do it. And so I really hope we can dive into a lot of the how and the why of it all. But also I want to get probably towards the end, get deeper into kind of discovering some of those universal secrets that you've tapped into, the things that meditation is allowing you. I know I'm the same way. We get downloads. We're always getting new messages coming in. So I can't wait to hear some of the messages you've been given, some of the insights as to how this whole reality's playing itself out. So let's start off real quick. First question is, how was the solar eclipse affecting you this past week? We just finished up on Sunday into Monday, that blood moon, and I know it is wreaking havoc on people all over the internet and the communities I'm sure we're both in. And, for me, I was pretty tired over the weekend, but at the same time, I had a bunch of energy. I was really focused. It's like when full moons would come before, last year, I'd get really drained and it would knock me down for 2-3 days at least. And since the first of this year, I don't know, the energy shifted. We went into Aquarius And it started having the reverse effect on me. I was able to actually like gain energy from the full moon, where a lot of people were still going through these struggles and, symptoms of it. So I wondered, what was your experience with the blood moon, and are you having any lasting effects at this point in time from it?
Oh, good question. Yeah, for me, I actually got sick this Friday, the day before it, or well, yeah, on Friday, a few days before it happened, right? Like vomiting, sick. And it was like, wow, right before this big event and portal, it felt like just this purge. It just lasted 24 hours. Then I was back on my feet doing my thing. And the blood moon actually happened on my husband's birthday, which I was like, that's pretty
What does
powerful.
that mean?
Right, exactly. And we live in Bogota, Colombia, which is this very large city. And for his birthday, we booked an Airbnb out in the countryside. So it was so beautiful. Even though it's rainy season, the sky was clear. We were able to watch the whole thing, out in the country where there's not a lot of light, human light, and see the stars. And it actually turned out to be such a beautiful experience for us both. I've seen solar eclipses, my whole life, but I don't think I've ever stayed up late and watched a lunar eclipse. So, and obviously to share that with him on his birthday was even more special. But yeah, for me, as far as physical stuff, getting sick like the day before we go leave town and everything, I was like, okay, yeah, this is just this, I'm releasing these things and
Right. Purging, is
yeah,
what they say. We're
purging.
purging all of those negative energies. We're allowing in the new to take over to help repair our DNA. I don't know how many people I know, I can't even count them, that get physically ill, the couple days prior to it. It's really, as it starts to go into that cycle and then coming out of it. So it's kind of a 5-6 day process, that I see people going through it every time almost. And I think that for me, I think, and it sounds like for you, the episodes, the symptoms are getting less and less with each new moon and each full moon passing. So really, really awesome. I wasn't a huge believer in astrology necessarily all my life. But the more over the past few years, the more I've really studied and learned about it. Wow. Our bodies are made up of what, like 80% water. And the lunar cycles are controlling the whole movement of the ocean. What do you think it's doing to the water in our bodies? It's got to be having that same effect, right?
Oh yeah, no, it totally does on me. And especially as a woman, it matches right up with my cycle, my personal cycle with the moon. And yeah, I'm right there with you. When I growing up, I didn't really think about astrology or even know about it. It wasn't until the past few years I was kind of introduced to it, and I'm just now taking the time to, well, what does a full moon mean? What are you supposed to do on a full moon? And how's that different from a new moon? And why should I even care? And because I'm making meditations for them, I'm like, I should probably know what this
Yeah, I'd
means.
say that's probably important. Absolutely.
Right.
So what was it, how did your journey, this awakening begin for you? Everybody's is different, but it always
Yeah.
seems like there's some sort of a trigger. There's a catalyst that causes us to really have to look deep within ourselves and ask ourselves, what the hell is this whole thing about? Why do I continue to struggle with this? And yeah, there seems to always be a pivotal moment where we just say, no more. We're not going to tolerate this. There's got to be a better way. So I imagine you had something similar. Could you share that with us?
Yeah, I had. If I had to, the actual beginning, whether I realized it at that moment or not, I don't feel like I did, was I was depressed and I had a lot of unresolved trauma from my 20s. And I hadn't dealt with any of it. And I just couldn't make it through the workday. At that time, I worked at Amazon in a fulfillment center, and I would just have to leave early because I was getting emotional and I had all these dark thoughts and they were just overwhelming me. And I was literally like at the end of my rope, right? I'm like, I know I don't want to commit suicide. That's not the route I want to go, but I really don't think I'm supposed to be living life this way, where I called it my dark place, where I'm lost in this dark place.
Mm-hmm.
So what I decided to do was get a therapist, and I tracked one down. I found one that fit my needs, and it just really helped me transform. And when I went there, I was like, I don't want to be put on any medications. I want to learn how to deal with my own shit. And
Right,
you
right,
know,
yes.
I really want to figure this out, and I don't want to be depressed and all this. I was like, tell me what to do, and I will do it. And that was actually where I learned meditation. At that point in time, I viewed myself more as an atheist, actually. I grew up Christian, and about age 25, I kind of moved away from Christianity and called myself like an atheist because I was just like, I don't want anything to do.
Right. You didn't know what else to call yourself or
Right? I
what
was
else to
like,
believe.
whatever, I'm
Right.
just not that. I'm not religious. And um, we worked with that in meditation as a means of healing my anxiety and PTSD and depression and all of this, where it was more surface level, right? But um, as I healed that trauma through therapy, she used cognitive behavioral therapy, I think is what it's called, on
What is
me.
it?
And I don't know if I'm saying it right. Cognitive behavioral therapy.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Right.
That's what she did. And eventually I left therapy and I was happy and healthy again, mentally and physically. And I met my friend Benet, which I did an interview with her on my channel. And because I just love her. And she was my coworker at the time. And she was very into spirituality and astrology and all these things. And she's like 10 years younger than me. And I'm like, who is this like 22-year-old who's like so in tune and just like goes, like her
Right.
energy
How
is
does she
just,
have it all together? This is
how did she have it
bullshit.
all
Right.
together? Freaking 21 or whatever. She was very young. And so I mean, I was like in my early 30s at the time. So I was just like, Renee, like, what the hell's going on? Like, I want what you have. Like I was picking up on her energy without knowing what I was doing, right? And she was like, well, why don't you just look at Dolores Cannon and Neville Goddard, and why don't you just research on these things? And she took me down the rabbit hole just by being herself, which I find so beautiful. And I literally just went with it, man. I just dug into everything. And before I knew it, I was having my own experiences. And I was like, you know what, that atheist label doesn't seem to fit anymore. I'm having these experiences. You know, there's something bigger out there, and I'm experiencing it for myself. So that's kind of my story of awakening. Yeah. Sorry, my
That's
cat.
awesome. And I mean, there's so many similarities in my own story, and my awakening. And I think a lot of the audience can resonate with exactly what you went through. I suffered same thing, anxiety, depression, PTSD, trauma from abuse in my early years, alcoholism, drug addiction, you name it. I was a mess. And, I found through meditation, I found through, going deep within and healing those traumas, healing those, accepting them for what they were, and taking responsibility for them, it really, it wiped them all free and clear. Like I no longer had any negative feelings, I guess, for them, right? It's like it erased the slate and all was good again. And I could move forward, I think, in our natural state of being, which is supposed to be happy and loving and joyous, instead of that depressed, sad, you said, you wouldn't have had committed suicide, but you felt that way. Me, I actually attempted it multiple times, through my 20s. And I can relate with you. I was never a big religious person growing up either. We were Christian, just believed in Jesus and God in heaven, right? That's about all I ever really believed in it, because it never really made sense to me. All of them seemed to be saying and pointing to the same thing. It's like, why would I believe in this one if this one's teaching the same thing, just using different words? So yeah, I can understand the atheist part. And I think there's a moment when even atheists, everybody, when you go down this spiritual path, we literally understand and feel that there is so much more out there, that God starts to literally talk through you, and it's God. There's not a question as to what it is. It's just a feeling of knowing that, wow, there's so much more out there. I can believe now. I can have that faith. I don't have to call it anything. I can call it my faith in the universe, in God, in the Creator. And it makes us feel so small at times, but so enormous in the fact that we're a part of everything. What are some of the key takeaways that, as you started to awaken here and you started to have that connection to spirit, to universe, what are some of those takeaways that you were being told? What were you being downloaded with, specifically? I know a lot of people they see their purpose, it's kind of revealed to them, and then it's like, okay, start heading down that path. Or other people are shown things that they needed to heal from, or things that needed to be done. I don't know. What was that experience like for you? And what did you think was happening as you're starting to see, or for some, they see visions, others, they hear it, others, they have both, so, were you thinking you were going crazy? What was that kind of initial part like for you?
Yeah, good question. For me, one of the first experiences that was really profound that I had was meeting my higher self. Mm-hmm. And at this point, I was still fairly new at meditating. Most of the time I would fall asleep and I would just get calm or whatever. But I used an app called Insight Timer, and I would just find different guided meditations. And this was one of those times. It started off very normal. And I picked a Meet Your Higher Self. I was like, well, whatever that means, I don't know, but that sounds cool, right? And I didn't fall asleep. In fact, I would say it turned into more of like a vision, where I wasn't even listening to the music or hearing the guided, directions. It started off that way. And before it morphed into the vision or whatever, I don't even know what to call it, right?
Vision's fine. I had my vision, so that's what I talk about on my channel. So they can relate to you. Yes.
Okay, cool. So she was like, okay, you're in this room and your higher self walks in. And the way she was talking in this meditation, I assumed it was supposed to look like me. But my higher self did not look like me. It was this giant light body and 12 feet tall-ish. And then, I'm envisioning it, right? Mm-hmm. And I was just like, whoa. And as soon as it walked in, I collapsed to the floor and I just started crying in this meditation and in real life, but I wasn't even aware of me crying in real life. I was just blown away by this unconditional love that just radiated off of my higher self. And that's when it kind of morphed into the vision, where I wasn't listening to the music or the meditation anymore. And I was just like, I could tell just by sensing that was me. I was a part of this ginormous light being, and that was my higher self, the perfect me, or whatever you want to call it. And it just radiated unconditional love. And I saw myself well, I am so far from that. I would like have none of that energy, it feels like, within me. And eventually, in that meditation, you merge with your higher self. And what was so cool for me is after that meditation for like 3 days, it was like I could feel this outer body energetically outside of myself. Like I said, it was like 12 feet tall. I'm almost 6 feet tall. So I came up to like its, chest, the top of my head. And it was like me walking around the mall, and then like using my third eye, I could see this giant light body like within me, like I was within
Amazing.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like, wow. Granted, this was very early on. I had no clue what any of it meant.
Yeah. You're just
I had
like,
no
what the hell
idea
just
I
happened?
would. I didn't know I was using my third eye to sense and like feel this, but it was very profound for me, and it really kind of, yeah, really jump started that awakening experience.
I
Like,
imagine that something like that would definitely do it. It sounds to me like you literally during your meditation, you were able to ascend into the sixth density or a plane where you could find, and you were seeing your sixth density self, that's just a being of light and love, and the law of one talks about the sixth density is all love. There, no negative can get into it. So it makes sense as you're talking about this feeling of love and just overwhelming, oneness with it. It sounds to me like you were literally interacting with your sixth density love light being that was just radiating out, and you got to absorb all that in. That's amazing. I mean, that's that experience alone could be enough for people, to change their entire view of the world and everything 100%. But it sounds like you had more. It went further, huh?
that was just one of the first ones that really like transported me. Another one around that same time, I wasn't even meditating. To be quite honest, I was just smoking pot, sitting on my balcony, just kind of thinking. And once again, I got transported into this vision. And I was at this large round table, and like I walked up to the table and I sat down, and all around the table were different versions of me from every age, from like childhood to elder me. And it was just like, whoa, okay, we're all here. This is all me. And that was really trippy. um, and yeah, I ended up writing a short story based on that because it was just so profound to me to like meet all of my versions. And I remember like as I was sitting there and looking at all of the me's, I transferred from the me that walked in to the me I was sitting next to, like to my right. Like I had, and just that, like, oh, I'm not her anymore. I'm this version of Joy because I've just gained some knowledge just by being here. And now and it just blew my mind. Like
That
this.
that is fascinating. I truly believe that we have so many different versions of who we were, through all these different past lives. And the way I like to kind of heal from those past lives is I like to think about each one knowing that they were mortal. They had to die, right? And so many of them died in horrible ways. That's part of this experience of life. We're just going through a different program each time. I mean, how many of those versions of me died with that feeling of unfulfillment, or they didn't accomplish what they thought was their mission on earth? And in a sense, I'm able to go back and I can talk to that version of me that thought they failed at this and they died having let themselves, the universe, whatever, down. And I can go back and say, no, you actually succeeded because I'm here now and I know you. I know you existed and I forgive you. I love you. I have so much compassion for you. Thank you for going through that experience so that I could gain that knowledge because it's within us. We just have to learn to seek it and to experience it. And no more will we have to go through all of the trials and tribulations of life because we've already done it all. So it sounds to me like that's literally what you were doing, was you were kind of almost like a life review in a sense in real time. And you were able to see all these different versions that, yeah, you're so much bigger than who you thought you were, right?
It was very, very profound. And along with that one, because I have this big passion for writing, which is why I like writing guided meditations, because I get to use that creative side. And at the time I had a block in my writing due to trauma. And I would try to write a novel or a short story and it would always fall through, right? And this other vision that went along with this circle of me's was I saw myself writing and I was just, I was in the zone and I think I was typing actually. And I was just, like doing
Seriously going at it.
And it was like, it almost like at a police station where they have that window, the one-way window, right? Where I was watching myself write. And then there was another layer of, I would say more that higher self of me watching myself write. And it was just mind-blowing to me, like,
how many versions of me are actually watching this happen right now?
This is crazy. Which one am I? Am I all of them? Am I the writing one? But it, like, just the energy around it too, like they were all me, right? Like the vibe was there, and it was like the farther one was sending those ideas, those things that I need to write, and it was like seeing that energy just go down to the 3D me, typing it all out. It was really amazing.
That is amazing. I think that's what a lot of people call channeling, but when they channel blindly and it's just coming to them, they might think it's an alien life form channeling me. It's God channeling me. It's whatever. I truly think that it's just our higher self knowing what's already happened, knowing the outcome, knowing where we all come from. It's really just our higher self manifesting in whatever version we need it to manifest in. It needs to manifest as Ra and teach us about the universe. It needs to manifest as you, as your higher self, inspiring you to write more. We're all creating this out of our imagination. So it goes to make sense to me that channeling is just ourselves creating from our higher selves into the image that we need to make it make sense so that we can comprehend it for ourselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I really resonate with that. You put that really well. Like, I don't know if I could just say it like that, but it really makes sense, Joey. I really like that.
Because I don't know what I say half the time. I get off stages and I look at my wife and I'm like, what the hell did I just talk about? I don't even know what I just spoke about. I mean, it's like I remember bits and pieces, but when I get to talking in certain instances, it's just like, thank you for saying that. I don't even know I couldn't repeat what I just said to you, probably consciously. It's undoubted that, meditation's had such an impact on you. It's shown you so much that was once hidden behind that veil, and I think that's where, and it's healed you. It's healed you in so many ways, anxiety, PTSD, the traumas of your past. So how can people, let's kind of dive into, because you're such proof of what meditation does for people. Let's dive into how this works, how people meditate, what types of meditations there are out there. If anything, any takeaway people can get from this episode is that everybody has the ability to meditate, whether you realize you're doing it or not, you're able to meditate. And it's like everything. It takes practice. My first mentor always said, you're going to suck the first 100 times you do anything. So just keep doing it, practice, make it a habit. So let's just start off simplistically. What is meditation in simplistic terms?
To me, meditation is just opening yourself up to possibilities, whether it be spiritual or healing or what have you, right? You can keep it more unspiritual, where it's just, I'm going to work on my anxiety, right? And you don't even touch on guides or higher selves or any of that. It still works. But to me, it's a beautiful spiritual tool or method you can use, to me, in almost an unlimited possibility of ways. It has, I think I read a website once that gave like 1,000 physical ways meditation changes you, from like blood pressure to, anxiety and all that. But then you could probably find another website with 1,000 spiritual ways meditation can be used. It's so freaking versatile. It's just unreal. But it is intimidating, right? Because when
the idea of quieting our minds, for most people, that monkey brain, that monkey mind that's just running a million miles an hour, it's so hard. We've been programmed to not quiet the mind. It's like, if you're doing anything around the house, turn the TV on, have noise, always need to have noise filling in, that void. And I think that's counterproductive for what we need. They've been telling us all along to drown out the silence, when really it's about going into the silence where the secrets lie.
Yes. Well, and a lot of people, that monkey mind, all these thoughts, they view that as themselves. So I would say that's, to me, what meditation just helps you start out, is to realize you're the observer. You're not your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. Those are just products of conditioning and, energies or whatever. You're getting bombarded by everything, right?
Right. So we're aware that they're just thoughts.
Yeah, it helps you become aware.
They make our version of who we are, until we are able to separate in that awareness and know that, no, those are just subconscious programmings. What do I want to consciously become? What do I want to consciously create? I think that's the transition that you're getting at, that meditation allows us go into the silence, and now we have control of those thoughts. They're not just randomly firing and creating hazards, creating all the crap in our lives. Once we remove them and quiet them, it's like, oh, yeah, I can laugh at that. I can laugh at that aspect. That's just there to trigger me. That's just there to scare me. It's like you start to become aware of all these perceived, fears that aren't really real, because what's real? The universe,
and
the connection.
You learn this ability to question your thoughts, or even pick a fight with them if you need to, or, I want to reject that. I don't agree with, I am not stupid. I went to college. I know I'm smart. Any of these, especially negative thoughts that pop in. Yeah, I think meditation, one of the very first kind of gifts or abilities it unlocks, is this observer mode, where you learn to release thoughts and not to just let it play like on replay all the time and it's just controlling you. You learn to kind of be in that driver's seat and take that control back, which is so powerful. No matter which way you want to go with meditation after that, right? It's like getting the image. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, how they have that at the end, this elevator that can go in any direction. To me, that's meditation. You can take it any way you want.
Right. We live in an infinite dimensional plane. We can go anywhere, be anything. That was one of the questions I had. Can meditation allow you to travel through time? Can it even rewrite your past? Like for me, I went back through meditation. I rewrote my biological DNA and ended up creating an entirely new father after 40 years. And I was no longer the son of an alcoholic, abusive, womanizing guy that abandoned my mom. I went back, I forgave through compassion, love, and rewrote everything. And in the process, it revealed to me that my real father was a doctor and that I was artificially inseminated, and everything I thought I knew about my past was a complete and total lie that I'd made up in my mind to believe. And then when I went back through meditation and rewrote it, it turned out becoming a reality that I couldn't have even believed. I wouldn't have believed it had it not happened to me. And I'm like, holy shit, this is so real. I've got to figure out how I just did that so I can help other people do that. It's so the question is, not just with my experience, but do you believe we can travel through time, through space, through dimensions? I know yogis have been doing this for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and it's documented in many different books out there, that they're in two separate places at the exact same time, talking to two different groups of people, and they can't explain it. So what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah, I totally think that's possible. To me, there's endless possibilities. And I feel like I've just reached the tip of the iceberg. And the same for you, right? We've had powerful, crazy, cool, amazing experiences, but that's literally the tip of the iceberg of what meditation can allow and bring you through.
So what types of meditations do you work with? What are your favorite types? There's transcendental, there's contemplative, there's mindfulness, there's Zen meditations. What I tell a lot of people, praying is meditation. They're like, oh, I'm not good at meditating. It's like, well, do you pray? Yeah, I pray. Well, you're meditating. You're literally imagining something into existence. You may not be doing it exactly correctly, because if you're praying, you're kind of begging for help, and that sense of lack, you're asking for something you don't have. But praying is a form of meditation, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. To me, it comes down to intention. You set that intention. I make guided meditations because the visualizations in those help you set that intention. The meditation itself, the words, the visualization, that's not the magic. It's the intention behind it that the meditationer is placing. Okay. And
I love that. That makes so much sense to me, just in my journey. I couldn't visualize for crap, starting out. And it was so frustrating. I really had to work at it. And I found when I let go, all of a sudden, the visions came to me. Like the harder I tried to visualize something, it would never show up. But when I just surrendered, it's like it started playing like a movie. Like, oh my God, it's working. And then the second you're aware that it's working, poof, it usually goes away. Like, damn it, I knew better.
Oh, yeah. No, I've had a lot of people be like, well, I can't visualize. I can't, I don't see anything. And I'm like, you know what? You can still listen to it. You don't have to see anything, but you can set that intention, right? And you can feel it. And I think if I play with it enough, like you said, you kind of release that control of expectation. I probably say that in every meditation I make, like, do not have any expectations of what you're going to see or experience, which I can say that, right? It doesn't mean they're actually going to release it, but I want that reminder in there because I've had many times where I've had an expectation and it didn't happen that way at all. It blew my mind and I got scared or whatever. But when I go with it in an open, where I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna do this and we'll just see what happens. Oh my gosh, I just have amazing experiences. And I don't really know what method I follow. I guess my own. I like to work with my chakras. I've noticed when I work with my chakras a lot, it builds that energy and for me, how do I want to word this? I don't want to use the word creates, but it energizes my Merkaba and I can go wherever I want and travel, right? And do things. But
I agree. I think the chakras 100%, that energetic bodies, they so much play a role in our experience while we're meditating. I teach one on Manaforce Meditation, and I use that one often. And I create that ball of mana and I bring it in to my solar plexus. and then I watch it and I allow it to travel up through each chakra, from the solar plexus up, and I get to the point where I'm awakening my crown, at that point, and I'm using my third eye. And, I think that's something about meditation that everybody watching needs to understand is everybody's experience is going to be different. There's no right way of doing it. There's no wrong way of doing it. The only thing that's important is you got to start doing it. You got to start somewhere. Find the people like Joy. If you resonate with Joy's work, if you resonate with her specific meditations, then dive in, do them often. Before you know it, I think we begin to start living literally just in a state of meditation more often than not. When you understand that what you're trying to achieve during meditation in that state, it's like I can almost now start to be in a semi-meditative state most parts of the day if I wanted to. Is that something you find as you've developed that power to start being consciously meditating, creating at all times, right?
Yeah, that's so cool that you said that, because when I started, it took me quite a bit of time to get into that state. But now I got like 5 or 6 years of practice under my belt. I can literally just close my eyes and I'm already seeing a vision, and there's already like entities or whatever wanting to work with me, and it goes very quick. And when I write meditations, right before I write, I'm like, well, what visual? I know I want to write about this. I want a meditation on blockages. What meditation, what visualization do they need? I just close my eyes, get into that state. There it is. And I type it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it takes a lot of practice to get that way. I would say
it does. I'm by no means
advanced. This whole what we're talking about, work traveling, that's more advanced. And when I first started, like I said earlier, I would fall asleep a lot. Like I would just get so calm, I'd fall asleep. And that's not the point. There are sleep meditations. Yes, that's the point for those. But what I'm talking about, I was just, I was getting too relaxed and calm to where I fell asleep. And I just had to keep doing it, right? And keep practicing. And I think that's a great thing to mention is, you're not gonna have maybe on your very first try, maybe, I'm not gonna say no, right? Maybe you'll have an amazing experience, but to have those amazing experiences consistently every time, you have to put in that practice and just know that there are going to be times where it might feel flat. You're like, I don't feel no energy. I don't even know what I'm doing, and that's okay. It's totally okay when you're starting out. You don't really have to know what you're doing, actually.
No, that's beautiful. I love that. For the audience, for the listeners out there, those that don't know how or haven't started or have tried meditation, I was the same way. My wife, she's just still getting into the meditation because she would always fall asleep during it. And we can't beat ourselves up over it. Make sure you're sitting up. If you fall asleep easily during meditations, don't do them lying down, sit up. I know with me, I've had times where I've fallen asleep for sure. But now it's almost when I get into a really good meditative state, it's like I could listen to something for an hour and be sitting up, leaning back a little bit, but enough to where I know I'm not going to fall asleep doing it. And it'll be over like 50 minutes will be over. And I'll kind of wake up like, where the hell have I been? Like, I literally just started doing this. I know I didn't fall asleep, but at the same time, it's like, okay, that was cool. I went somewhere. I learned something. I don't know what I learned, but the fact is I knew I wasn't sleeping, but I wasn't consciously here. It was in that just completely zoned out state, and that's pretty cool when you can achieve that, I think.
Oh, yeah. No, it is. I like to keep a journal because it almost feels like a dream sometimes when I come back, where I'm like, oh, I know something happened, man. Something really cool happened, but what was it? I don't really know. But I just remember it being really intense. And so now I've gotten into the practice of, as soon as I get out of that meditative state, I write down everything I remember,
Oh,
especially if
that's
I'm,
great. What great advice for everybody out there. Meditation journal. It will
yeah,
you will reap the rewards of it further down the path. I think both of us can account to that.
yeah,
So
no, we totally
start
will.
journaling if you're not journaling now.
Yeah, because I've had conversations with a spirit animal or an entity, and then I come out of it and I'm like, I just know I talked to a snake. I don't remember what the snake said, but I can remember having a vivid conversation in the meditation where we were talking about deep things and it was telling me stuff. But then you also have to, for me personally, I'm like, you know what? I'm meant to remember what I'm meant to remember.
Mhm.
And,
In the
if I
time that
don't,
we're going to remember it in, that's a key
yeah,
that I tell
exactly. It can
people.
always come back later, or
Right.
to me, it's not ever lost.
Mhm.
I can always go back in and probably figure that out again. And you can also set that intention, like I'm going to remember everything I experienced, right?
Mhm.
But once again, this comes with practice,
Mhm.
and kind of figuring it out on your own in a way how to do these things. Now, I'm launching a intro to meditation course, so you can totally sign up for that. It starts at the beginning of each month where we learn these basics, but you don't have to take meditation course, or there's plenty out there, right?
Right.
Sorry, my cats are fighting. But
Don't let them on the screen. My dog will see them and go nuts. She watches TV, and I think she's such an old soul. She literally loves watching TV, but she can make out every animal and like goes nuts over like a lion roaring. Can't possibly know what a lion is. She's a sheltered dog living in the United States, yet she freaks out as if she is being murdered and eaten by a lion. And she does this with so many things, so many different animals, even cartoon versions of animals she freaks out over. And it's like, man, where have you been, little dog? What have you experienced? Because you're bringing up a lot of stuff that you shouldn't even know about. So, it's just kind of a fun, off
oh
topic,
yeah.
but yeah, definitely. I think our animals can reach this state as well.
Oh,
Not
totally.
often, but I think they definitely can reach it as well. So,
There's times where my cats, you can tell they're not sleeping, but it's like they have to be meditating or like doing little kitty astral travel or something, right? Like,
right.
and one of my cats, you might have saw me pet him earlier. Whenever I meditate, it's like he just somehow knows. He hops on my lap and he gets
Mhm.
calm with me. I don't
Mhm.
know. There's something about
That's
animals.
what ours, if we want to, she's not very friendly. She's scared to death of strangers. So, but she's a sweetheart, right? But we want to get her certified as a emotional support dog because
Mhm.
literally I can be in the other room. If I get frustrated on anything, just if I breathe heavily and exhale heavily because my computer's frozen up on me or something, she comes running in right up, puts her head on my leg and just will not move and leave until I hug her and I release that energy. And she does it all the time. It's like she just
Oh,
has this sense that, if my wife and I if we start talking loud to one another, she freaks out thinking we're arguing and she'll go to one of us and like get on top of us on the couch, like, stop, you need to settle down. You're getting too emotional. And we're laughing like Tesla. We're not arguing. We're just talking. And it's hilarious. She is a character.
oh, that would be so cool to have her as an emotional support dog, though.
She
Because,
is
yeah.
my emotional support dog for sure. She's my lover bug.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
So I didn't mean to get off topic there as much. We're getting close to the end of the hour. We got about 10 minutes or so. So let's kind of, excuse me, let's nail down, get to a couple more things. In terms of meditation, how about the healing properties? So can you talk about how people can heal their bodies, heal their DNA? Like, are you familiar with, like Dr. Joe? and how he teaches people go into the dark, into the nothingness, and you can literally start rewriting your DNA blueprint and so on and so forth. Can you elaborate a little bit on any of that aspect, the healing aspect of meditation,
Yeah.
not just the metaphysical and the traumas, but the physical ailments that we suffer from? Is there
Well, for
proof
me,
that
one
works?
way, yeah, one way I've done it for myself and a few others is, yeah, I'll get in a meditative state and I'll use my third eye to literally like go in my body or go in someone else's body with permission. And I'll see, like, to me, it looks like a little dark spot or whatever. And it's like, oh, that's where the healing needs to happen, or there's a shift, and I can use energy to kind of make it dissipate and remove it. Um, I don't even know what to call what that. I guess it's energy work, right?
Yeah, Reiki and energy healing,
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
yeah, but I do it in a meditative state. So I get in that meditative state, like we've talked about, and I do it with myself. I try to do it every day where I just look with my third eye and I look for these like spots, is what I call them. And you can take it even a step further when you find a spot and ask it, what are you? You know, are you an emotion? Are you pent up energy of some sort? Are you created by the person, or did somebody else put this there? And kind of get that information. I think you can also, I mean, to me, there's so many ways to do it. That's just the one I've done.
Mhm.
But you could go into the Akashic and pull up that history. And to me, that's where you would do more DNA work, is going in there and just kind of, yeah, using that energy to heal. I don't want to use the word manipulate because that has a kind of a bad connotation,
It
right?
can,
But you know what
yes. The perception is we don't want to be manipulated, right?
right. But you can, we'll say, transform it
Mhm.
and
Mold it. I like them molded into what you want it to be.
there you go. I like that.
That's more
Yeah,
creative, artistic, right?
yeah. Make it, turn it into clay if you
Mhm.
want, and just, yeah, rewire it. It's like your example. It's totally doable. And then, yeah, then once you've done that, it's literally just a matter of time before it shows up in your physical reality, which is
I love
pretty
that.
amazing.
That was actually, I'm making a note real quick. That leads perfectly into the last question I was actually going to ask, was diving into the Akashic record. What is the Akashic record? You mentioned it. For those viewers that don't know, what is that Akashic record and how can we tap into it?
To me, it's just all knowledge, all everything. I feel like, I guess you could call it, to me, there's like layers to it. You have your own, where it's all my past lives, all my future lives, everything I've ever experienced in every dimension, and, literally everything about joy. Joy's Akashic, right? Then there's all of it, just for everybody, of everything in every dimension, which is very mind blowing. So you can decide which one you want to go to. Well, I want to focus on myself. So I'm going to open up. You can, to me, there's, once again, so many ways to connect with it. My method is through meditation. Um, I have made visualization, like guided meditations on, connecting to your Akashic, and it's like an inner library, is how I visualize it. I myself, I actually don't use guided meditations anymore because I can just kind of do it on my own. So if I know I want to connect with my Akashic, I just do, right? But if that visualization is there to just to help assist, it's just like a little railing
Right,
on the
right, right.
stairway up there.
The idea is we've got to see it, taste it, touch it, smell it, hear it, and it becomes real. So yeah, adding an extra element into that, the sight, the visualization of it only helps reinforce to make that experience an actual real experience, I'd say. you know. And the way you were talking there, it makes me think, you know, I never thought of it this way, but the Akashic is basically like if God's brain, the creator's brain, was here, and each individual cell molecule in that brain is a different page of the record, and each individual molecule in the universe has a page in that record, in that brain of God. So it's when we're tapping into that Akashic record, we're not only tapping into our page that is everything before and after, but now if you can tap in and figure out how to do it, you can jump into other pages where more, in, you know, where the scientists from the 1930s or 40s that created the, you know, nuclear weapons, let's just go with that one, you could jump into that knowledge and that plane of existence and extract what you needed to out of it. Or, you know, in anything, you could go into the future and extract knowledge that has yet to be discovered on Earth, but it already is out there in that record. So that, I really like that idea. You know, thank you for allowing me to understand it and to kind of see it, and to put a face with it, you know, the face of God as all the different records. So that's pretty cool. Thank you.
Yeah. One way it showed up for me in meditation once was like this infinity sign, but it was obviously really big, and it actually looked metallic, and it was like, this is everything that ever was. This is all of creation. And it was in this vast nothingness, and the vast nothingness was actually God or source or universe, whatever you want to call it, right? And so to me, the Akashic would be this infinity of everything, and it's moving, it's alive.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how you said it's God's brain. To me, that's so perfect, because it's to me, it's at the precipice of what I can barely comprehend, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole of everything that ever was, that ever will be, that's very, 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 very big. Insanely big.
Just slightly, right?
Yeah, slightly. So it's very hard to, conceptualize, but that's why I mean, I don't know, my subconscious probably helped and source, but to me, it showed up as an infinity sign, because it's always morphing and changing, but it also at the same time is the same in a way. Like, it's just this information, and I'm still learning and growing and figuring it all out myself. Like, I'm eager to have my current perceptions blasted into new ones.
Embrace the chaos, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Expect the unexpected, embrace everything that's happening, and just go with the flow, you know, enjoy the ride is what I say.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, hey, Joy, as we start to wrap up here, I want to ask one last question that I ask every guest, and then we'll get into how people can contact you, work with you, sign up for your class coming up at the beginning of the month. But the question I ask everyone is, since this is shows all about creating reality, if I could snap your fingers, or if I could snap my fingers and you could transport yourself into the perfect dream reality, where would you go and what would you be doing? Ready, go.
I guess in my perfect dream reality, to me, it is what I'm doing now, but I guess I'm eager to be a little more advanced, right? So we'll fast forward a few years where my book is published and I'm leading retreats and doing these things. But I feel, not to sound egotistical or anything, but I feel like I'm already on that path. And I'm just playing it out, so to speak. It's pretty amazing
I love it. I love it. You're like so many guests that we have on the show here, and they're already living in their perfect reality. And I love that you pointed out, while you're living in your perfect idea of reality, you're excited for what's still to come. You know, it's not an ungrateful, like, oh, I wish there was more. It's a recognition of, I can't wait for what's coming, because I'm already living such an amazing life exactly as I want to do it. But I know what this life I'm living right now is creating and what the future is going to hold. So it's beautiful. I love it when guests can realize that we're all living in our own version of heaven. It's just how do we want to create it? I think we each have that power.
So true. So true.
So Joy, where can people find you? Where can they work with you? What's your YouTube? You want to give them the address for your YouTube channel, everything they need to know. And I'll make sure I put it all in the description box below as well.
Thank you. Yeah, everything's Astronaut of Life. So my YouTube channel, just search Astronaut of Life. Website, www.astronautoflife. Even on Instagram, Astronaut of Life. I have a Facebook group, Astronaut of Life. So that's basically your key right there, just to go find me. I'm mainly on Instagram and YouTube. It's kind of where I hang out. I go live on YouTube every Friday night and on Instagram as well. And then, if you go to my website, you can find this Intro to Meditation course, which goes along with what we've been talking about. It starts brand new at the start of each month. We take a new group of people into learning how to meditate and just go over the basics of how to do it, different methods. We do, at the end, we learn about chakras, and we try not to make it too intimidating. We start with just a 5-minute meditation and work our way up. So
very cool. Very awesome. Guys, check out Astronaut of Life 100%. You won't regret it. This whole meditation journey is so important on this evolution process we're in right now, and I think to sum up just a few things, about what we've discovered with Joy today is, find your own way, find help for sure, but go with what feels right to you. Trust in your instincts, trust in your guidance, and believe in it, and know that it's working, whether it feels like it is or not. Know that it is working. And like anything, practice. You have to practice at this. You're not going to be good at it the first 100 times. Hell, the first 1,000 times. I don't know, but you're going to hit your stride. You're going to have that moment where it's kind of like, okay, that was different. So that's what that's a little like glimpse of what it can be like. And once you kind of hit that first time glimpse, it's a whole different ballgame moving forward. You're excited to jump in. It's like, how can I get back there faster now? Because what's going to be revealed? And I think that the last most important thing would be have some compassion for yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. If you fall asleep, correct the problem. Sit up while meditating. If you can't get your mind to calm down, do a guided meditation where you can listen to somebody else's voice. Again, have compassion, forgive yourself for being so hard on yourself, right? And really just find what works for you. But I can't advocate enough. Meditation is the key to unlocking all of the truths that you ever wished you wanted to know, and to discovering who and what you truly are. So Joy, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I've had so much fun. This has been a blast and so informational. You helped reaffirm many of the things I've been doing or have thought about, but didn't really, I haven't ever really dove deep with somebody about how the process works. So thank you so much. I think the viewers are going to have an awesome episode here. So guys, if you liked this episode, make sure to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe to the channel so you never miss an episode. Go and subscribe to Astronaut of Life with Joy Fanning and get into the world of meditation. She's going to teach you a lot, and I'm excited to see where it can take me as well. So thank you again, Joy.
Thank you so much. It was so much fun. I had a great time.
You got it. I can't wait to work with you again. So until next time, my friends, stay blessed, and remember to ask yourself, what reality are you choosing to create today? Bye now. Hey everyone, it's Joey again. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked the show. Please make sure to give it a thumbs up if you did. We'd love to hear your comments too. And if you haven't already, please make sure to hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell to never miss an episode from the Reality Practice Network. As I mentioned before the show, I wanted to extend an exclusive offer to you, the viewers of the Reality Practice Network. For all of you watching this video, you're undoubtedly experiencing an awakening and are searching for more explanation into the experiences you're having. Now is the time to explore who and what you truly are. For a limited time, you can now work one-on-one with your show host. Click the link in the description box below to start your journey, or learn more by going to myrealitypractice.com/ascension and let your ascension begin. And remember to ask yourself, what reality are you choosing to create today?